This is a special report from Sri Lanka. I'm Vayoni Dimel. Year 2011 was an eventful year for Sri Lanka. Signs of progress were seen all over Sri Lanka in 2011 as well as sounds of protests. This edition of Sri Lanka brings to you the progress and protests of Sri Lanka in the year 2011. The Sri Lankan government tabled the 400-page report of the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission in the Parliament on December 16th. The LLRC report has underlined that the present situation provides a great window of opportunity to forge a consensual way forward towards reconciliation through a political settlement based on devolution of power. The report recognized that a political solution is imperative to addressing the root cause of the conflict, that the government should provide leadership to a political process to establish a framework for ensuring sustainable peace and security in the post-conflict environment. Weeping parents in Sri Lanka have been demonstrating in Colombo and elsewhere, asking what has become of close family members who have disappeared. Most of those grieving were Tamil and from the former war areas of north and east of Sri Lanka. The issue of disappearances still causes agony for many Sri Lankans who do not know where to get help. During the war, many saw their children forcibly conscripted by the Tamil Tigers, only to be later detained by the government side and never seen again. All the former LTT fighters who were detained following the end of a 3-decade civil war in 2009 will be released next year, according to the Sri Lankan government official. The last remaining group of 700 former Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam cadres will be released by mid-2012 after providing them the mandatory 12 months training. The former combatants are being given training in vocational skills under the supervision of the Sri Lankan military so that they can earn their livelihood once released. The government has allocated Rs 750 million to fund the rehabilitation process for the current financial year. Sri Lanka used the 2011 annual May Day rally to reject a United Nations report calling for both sides in the country's civil war to be investigated over possible war crimes. The UN report said shelling by government forces killed tens of thousands of civilians, while the Tamil Tigers had used civilians as human shields. Sri Lankan government used this year's May Day to showcase the world that the country is united in its opposition to external intervention in human rights issues in the country. Sri Lanka's first ever access-controlled expressway from Kottawa to Pinnaduwa, Galle, was ceremonially opened by President Mahinda Rajapaksa on 27th of November 2011. The length of this section is 96 kilometers. The expected travel time from Kottawa to Pinnaduwa, Galle, when this expressway is used, about 1 hour. The section from Galle to Mathura of length 35 km is under construction and scheduled to be completed by 2013. Sri Lankan university students have been protesting time and time again during this year. Inter-University Students Federation, affiliated to Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna, has taken the lead in most of these protests. Students have been very vocal against the legislation on non-state universities that has been proposed by the Sri Lankan government and vowed to continue their protest until the government withdraw the legislation. Thousands of produce traders protested in Sri Lankan streets recently, halting business at the capital's central market over a new rule changing how they transport their goods. Traders protested over a rule that fruit and vegetables be transported in plastic baskets rather than sacks. The government says it wanted to stop colossal food waste when perishable produce is damaged in transport. According to Trade Minister Johnston Fernando, over 40% of Sri Lankan produce is wasted due to improper packaging and delivery methods, hence the new rule. Sri Lanka is becoming the Asia's fastest growing tourism market since ending its three-decade war in 2009, with arrivals topping 750,000 this year. Peace is the biggest investment for the development of tourism in any country, says the country's Minister of Economic Development, Basil Rajapaksa. This year, in a major protest at the Katunayaka Free Trade Zone, Roshan Shanaka, the 22-year-old worker, lost his life and over 200 workers and some policemen were injured. The Free Trade Zone workers were protesting against the Sri Lanka government's proposed private pension scheme. Sri Lankan Inspector General of Police Mahinda Balasurya resigned after the incident, and 2 police officers who escalated the clashes were arrested. A presidential inquiry was also initiated. The arrest of Reverend Sister Mary Eliza at Prem Nivasa, an orphanage run by the Mother Teresa's order, created local and international protests. Protesting against this high-handed action, Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith went on record saying that until this action is rectified, he will not attend any state or state institution functions. Massive crowds were seen at a protest march and rally that began at Hyde Park in Colombo in November to demand the freedom for former Army Chief Sarath Fonseca and other political prisoners. The rally was organized by the United National Party.
ඉතාමත්ම සාමකාමීව මේ උද්ඝෝෂණ ව්‍යාපාරය ආරම්භ කරනකොටම රජයේ මැරයින් විසින් අපිට දැවැන්ත ප්‍රහාරයක් එල්ල කරා මේ උද්ඝෝෂණය ආරම්භ කරනකොටම සියලුම දෙනා දැක්කා අපේ විශාල පිරිසකට ගුටිබඩ ප්‍රහාරයක් එල්ල වුණා අධිපීඩන ජල ප්‍රහාර එල්ල වුණා අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්ත වෙඩි ප්‍රහාර එල්ල වුණා බටන් පොල් ප්‍රහාර එල්ල වුණා අපි මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ඇතුළු මේ ආණ්ඩුවට අපි කියනවා මේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී අයිතිය වෙනුවෙන් අපි ජීවිතේ පූජා කරලා සටන් කරනවා. මෙතන ගන්න. කාසියන් මෙතන ගන්න.
The brutal assassination of Bharata Lakshman Premachandra was one of many unfortunate incidents happened this year. The manner in which the relevant authorities initially handled the investigation in the mind of many was deplorable.
අද මේ නැති වුණේ මගේ සහෝදරයාගේ පියාවත් මගේ ආදරණීය අම්මගේ ස්වාමි පුරුෂයාවත් පමණක් නොවේ. අද මේ නැති වුණේ ඔයාලගේ ලකි අයියා. මගේ පියා මේ වගේ අවාසනාවන්ත මරණයකට හිමිකම් කිව්වේ ඇත්ත කතා කරන්න ගියේ. ඔබලා වෙනුවෙන් නිර්භීතව සටන් කරන්න ගියේ. ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් මේ නැගී සිටපු ලකි අයියා අද නිහඬ වෙලා. ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ක්‍රියා කරපු මේ ලකි අයියා අද නිහඬ වෙලා. ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් සිංහෙක් වගේ නිර්භීතව ඉදිරියට ගමන් කරපු ලකි අයියා අද නිහඬ වෙලා. මේ කළගුණ දත් සියලුම ජනතාවගෙන් මා ඉල්ලා සිටින්නේ ඒ නිර්භීත ජනනායකයා පෙන්නපු මේ මාර්ගය අපි මේ මොහොතේ ඉඳලා ගමන් කරමු. මේ කතාව අවසන් කරන්න කලින් මම මේ ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්න ජනතාවගෙන් එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න කැමතියි. මෙලෙස අවාසනාවන්ත ලෙස අසාධාරණ ලෙස මිලෙන්චි මිනි මරුවන් අතින් මැරුම් කාපු මගේ තාත්තා වෙනුවෙන් ඔයගලන්ට මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන්? ඔහු වෙනුවෙන් ඔයගලන්ට මොකද්ද කරන්න පුළුවන්?
That concludes the special report of Boston Lanka. We'll meet you again with another news edition of News, Views and Entertainment from Boston and USA. Till then, goodbye.